So my first one is having a task management software in place. And this isn't just for my business and work, it's also my personal life. I've even got a task list, which is a grocery list, which I share with my husband, and we can access it from our phones and understand if it's not ticked off, then whoever's at the shops next needs to go and get it.
Right.
So with the electronic task list, it's making sure that everything on your plate is in one place.
Hi there, and a warm welcome to the Habit Nerd podcast. I'm Dr. Bree Hearn, host and general nerd about all things habits. Over my 20 plus years working as a writer, educator, researcher, keynote speaker, and coach, I've realized that habits influence everything from our health to our productivity and even our relationships. It was Aristotle, in fact, who said we become what we repeatedly do. On this podcast, you'll learn from inspiring experts as they share the habits and systems that help them live happily, healthily, and to achieve enormous success in their chosen fields. Thanks for being here. I do hope that you enjoy the episode. Hi, Habit Nerds. Welcome to today's episode. It is my great pleasure to welcome Fiona Campbell. Now, Fiona is a tech, systems, and outsourcing expert. As the founder of Thought Penny, a virtual assistant agency, and CEO of the Virtual Assistant Lead Network, which is Australia's premier jobs board for connecting business owners with virtual support, Fiona has helped countless entrepreneurs build the habit of delegation. Having worked remotely for over 10 years, she knows that the more you delegate, the easier it becomes, and that so many tasks, both work and at home, can be outsourced to free up time and mental space. So the reason I've invited Fiona onto the Habit Nerd podcast is that she is passionate about the habit of effective delegation. And she knows that entrusting tasks to others can help us transform productivity, business growth, and personal well-being. So this has come at absolutely the right time for me in my life, which is often what happens in this podcast. I know the listeners will gain a huge amount from this. So a warm welcome and thanks to you, Fiona, for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited about this discussion.
All right, well, let's dive in with my first question, a general one for all of our guests. Fiona, what's a habit that serves you, that helps you be the person that you want to be?
So first of all, talking to the person that I want to be, I love being organized. It's important to me personally in my life. It gives me a sense of calm, but also I'm a career executive assistant. So it's important that I'm doing a good job for those other people that I'm supporting. And so from that stems the habits that I've put in place that help me to stay organized as a person as well. And one of those habits is actually being my own assistant, treating myself like a client. So this is for me personally. It might not be the same for everyone. You might need to go and find that other person to do that in your life. But for me, doing it for myself, treating myself like a client, it means that I take my understanding. It doesn't matter how organized you are, how systematic and methodical you are, things can still fall through the cracks. When it's so important to not assume that you'll remember everything you need to, or that, that piece of paper with the list of really important things you need to remember is going to be on hand. So I actually assume the opposite. Even though I'm a super organized person, I assume that things will be forgotten. I assume they're going to fall through the cracks, or that tech will break, etc. So I implement systems that mitigate these risks and keep me very organized.
Wow. So could you give us an example, maybe just one or two examples of how you've been an assistant for yourself this week, how you've been your own assistant?
Sure. So I guess my examples really can be explained as I talk about the systems that I put in place for that habit.
Okay, so that's always question number 2. So let's jump ahead to that. So if the habit is treating yourself like a client, you've actually reminded me, I remember somebody else saying, and it's just come back into my brain, you've prompted it, which is it was a good habit that I was getting into, that at the end of the day, somebody said, I think it was Laura May Martin, actually, the productivity expert at Google. She was saying, set your office up like an assistant would for you. So, like, leave your
Yes,
office with everything ready for the next day, with all of the, maybe it's tidy enough, but also maybe it's got all of the resources ready, your computer's, charged, you've got your notebook there, you've got, the documents that you'll need for that day, almost
mm,
as if you were doing it for a client that was paying you a lot of money. So, even just
exactly.
setting yourself up the night before as if you're an assistant. So, that you've reminded me, but tell me about your systems.
Yeah, exactly. Looking ahead, anticipating what you need, making sure you haven't forgotten that you needed to prepare something for a meeting,
Mm-hmm.
or for something in your personal life, filling out forms. I've got 3 kids. There's a lot of admin that comes with having children.
Yes, yes.
Um, so I think the key thing here as well is to know that there is no silver bullet with
Mm,
systems.
mhm,
Uh, you really need to have multiple things working in your favor. And that
mhm.
also helps with if one thing falls through, the others will pick it up. So my first one is having a task management uh, software in
Okay.
place.
Mhm,
And this isn't just for my business and work, it's also my personal life.
mhm,
Um, I've even got a task list, which is a grocery list, which I
mhm,
share with my husband, and we can access it from our phones,
mhm.
um, and understand if it's not ticked off, then whoever's at the shops next needs to go and get it.
Right.
So with that, with the electronic task list, it's making sure that everything on your plate is in one place. You
Mm,
haven't got lists in lots of different places,
mm.
lists in an email you might have sent yourself, or a text message reminder that you
Yes,
sent yourself. Um,
yes. Or you've written
it's
some notes in your phone or you've
Yeah,
screenshot
exactly.
something. Yes.
And that's actually a hard habit to break when
Mm,
you do that, especially if you wake up in the middle of the night and you think, I'll just send myself a text message so
mm,
that I can go, I've written it down, I can go back to sleep. But that's an example of a risk where if you've also accidentally marked it as read just after you've sent it, then you're not going to have that unread message sitting there to remind you when you wake up in the
mm.
morning. So something like Asana, there are lots of them out there. I just prefer Asana, but something like
Yep.
Asana you can put on your phone. So if
Mhm,
you can replace that habit of doing that mind dump to help rest your mind and go to sleep quickly,
mhm,
instead of sending yourself an email or sending yourself a message,
mhm.
opening up the Asana app and putting it in your to-do list there, then everything, you're creating a habit of having everything in one place. Um, and the reason that I push for that so much is because once everything is in one place, then you can, um, at least once a week, preferably every day if you can, look at your entire list. And when everything is there all at once, it allows you to prioritize and not forget something urgent that's coming up there. So identifying the biggest priorities and then updating due dates and making sure that absolutely everything has a due date, using that to prioritize as well. And another part of that is looking at your calendar. So the calendar is definitely one tool I use
Mhm.
for work and for my personal life. Definitely everything to do with the kids is in there as well. So um, it's not just their regular activities, but if I know that this Friday is out of school uniform day, I've got that reminder. I use events as reminders as well, not
Mm,
just for meetings.
mhm.
Um, so that's popping up. So I'm going to end up having those things in multiple places. There's a higher likelihood that I'm going to see one of those notifications before I send them to school. And so looking at that calendar can help you identify any tasks that are also missing in Asana or whatever platform that you're using.
Mhm.
And then the next step that I take is once I know that I've amended all of my due dates and everything, I know what the top priorities are, then in Asana in particular, I switch from my list view showing
Mhm.
everything to my calendar view, and that lets me put blinkers on and
Mm.
just focus. I lose that feeling of overwhelm that you get when you look, I'm planning months, years in advance, and that can be a bit scary
Mm.
for many people. So switching to a different view that's only showing me what should be in my focus for today,
Mhm.
and that includes the stuff that's due today, but also I might have the benefit of something like Asana. You can have a start date and an end date. So just like in your calendar, if you've got a multi-day event, it can sit up the top there. So I know that everything, when all the deadlines are met that day, I can also don't forget, so it doesn't fall through the cracks, to work on those things that I can't achieve in one day. I've got to do a bit of work on them every day in
Mhm.
order to achieve those goals.
Mm.
And whether that's getting a project out for work or planning a personal event, having all of that in that space and being able to anticipate that, you know what, just because I've completed everything that was due today doesn't mean I don't have anything on my list.
Going. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, not falling through the cracks.
Mm.
Um, and then one that surprises people, because I talk a lot about tech and automation, is I actually have a book on my desk and pen and paper. And I find that I do the Asana side, but then I know if what will make the biggest difference. I try to pick one thing, sometimes it's three, absolutely have to get done today. And there's something so intentional about using pen and paper and writing it down. I feel like I'm making a promise to myself.
Mhm.
It stays in my brain for longer. It helps me to stop being distracted and really
Mhm.
focus and commit my day to those things. And there is something brilliant about actually physically
Oh,
crossing something out
absolutely.
off a
Absolutely.
handwritten list.
The
So just
dopamine
because you're
hit.
using, yeah.
Oh wow, this is amazing. As you were talking, I started to feel a little bit sick at the start about task management software like Asana. I too
Mm.
use Asana. I'm not good at Asana. So I have some anxiety about the tool sitting there being not used to its potential. My go-to place is my calendar.
Mm.
But I'm lucky in that I'm working in this kind of work that I'm doing for myself, and I don't need to keep other people accountable and have, task delegation on something like Asana necessarily. So and I also use pen and paper for exactly that reason. I've even been known to write things down after they're done and then cross it off to seek that
I love that.
dopamine hit, like a done list, not a
Yes.
to-do list, because
Mhm.
sometimes, you just need, you're really just not feeling good about, how little you've been able to get through, something took way longer or whatever it is. So, that's a little kind of secret hack that I have that helps me, as crazy as that is. So,
Mm.
I'm really heartened by the end of that answer, because you've shown that it's okay to have multiple tools, and in fact that they speak to each other for different reasons for you. And
Yes.
that, your calendar, I suppose, might be something that is more universally used, because it's connected to your email software or whatever, whereas
Mm.
Asana is task delegation only. Um,
Yes.
my question around something like Asana, do you have a practice where you set some time aside? You said you like to look at it every day and update due dates, etc. Do you set some time for yourself to do that? And has that become an easier process rather than something else on your to-do list to fit in?
Yes, and it's actually so common for it to feel like work, keeping it updated.
Mm.
Um, Definitely need it to become a habit. And so there are a few things here. I also use the calendar for time blocking. So looking at my
Mm-hmm.
Asana list, if I know I have to keep pushing back a due date for a
Mm.
particular task,
Mm-hmm.
then I'll also go and block time. So
Mm-hmm.
again, not just using my calendar for meetings, appointments, it's also using it to say I'm dedicating myself to getting this task out the door. Um, and yeah, it's I'm assigning that block of time, even though the due date might be in a couple of weeks. I know
Mm.
I'm using the calendar to say I'm going to do an hour of it, hour
Yeah.
of trying to get this off my plate
Mm-hmm.
then. And there are lots of people that try Asana for 3 days, or maybe even 2 weeks, and then they find that they haven't looked at it in 2 weeks. And while I say I like to look at it every day, if a huge deadline or project is on my plate, I might not look at Asana for a week.
Mm.
And I'm a certified Asana expert. I love Asana. It's
Mm.
important to know that it's that's not a sign the system's not working for you.
Mm-hmm.
The system has to be flexible to fit in with your life, or your work, or both, however you're using that.
Mm.
And it's like buying a gym membership and going the first 3 days and then not going for 2 weeks and thinking, oh, that was a waste of. You've
Yeah.
got to make it a habit. It's
Yeah.
not give up because you dropped the ball for a bit.
Mm.
It's try again and try again. And that's the way habits, I'm not an expert on habits, but I guess I do know that that's how habits are formed, right? You just got to keep at it and keep
There's an
trying.
element of repetition, there's no question. But I think
Mm.
I think the gym membership's a really good analogy, because I think that it is a similar guilt that you would feel if you paid money for something like a gym membership, went 3 times and then didn't go again. I think a lot of people can relate to that, or starting some kind of eating protocol or whatever it is.
Mm.
I think it's really helpful to understand, to get a little bit introspective about what the barrier is there. And I can confidently say with Asana, for me, it's a cognitive barrier that I don't know how to use it well enough,
Mm.
that it's standing in the way of me using it. I have every bit of faith in it as a software. I hear people endorse it all the time. My VA uses it with confidence, but for me, myself, my calendar is enough. But having said that, I communicate with my VA via WhatsApp, via email, and
Mm.
I think, where was that message I needed to, what did I tell him? Did I follow that up? And it's the lack of system is causing more stress in my brain than if I
Yes.
just spent the time getting to know Asana, or did some training around Asana, and we could manage tasks together in that way, because he's so adept at it already.
Yeah, exactly. And that's another point, another aspect of Asana that works so well for me on the business side is
Mm-hmm.
I do have a team. And so we've created a culture where it's not just about communicating with each other on where something's up to, but it's
Mm-hmm.
also understanding that every single one of us is so busy and we've got such a high output that it's actually common to not know whether you remember doing the task or you just remember planning to do the task, and having a
Yes.
note to say, I've actually tried calling this person, whether it is work or whether it's chasing someone who was due to come and fix your aircon. It's having that, a home maintenance list could be in Asana, and keeping track of whether the ball's in your court or someone else's, the communication history, where you got it up to. And it has saved me, because you can write yourself a note on a piece of paper, look at it and go, I have no idea what that means. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know what my attention. And the same thing with putting it electronically. It's very easy to write comments and track. So speaking to each other, but also making notes for ourselves, so that if I was hospitalized for a week, someone from my team could step in and know exactly where I got up to with something and carry on without me. Or like in my home life, my husband will know where something's up to. Bit of a struggle to get him to use Asana as much as I do, but definitely on the business side, it's there. And the other aspect, which, careful, I could go down a whole rabbit hole here nerding out about this, but what I really love about Asana is the ability to create templates.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so just say I I'll give you two examples. One is that I get a Google review for my business. There are so many things that I want to make sure we do with that, to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that we repurpose, we have to reply, because that's good for SEO. It
Yeah.
actually has a negative impact on SEO if you don't reply to Google reviews.
Right.
But then also we want to add it to our website. We want to create a social post, all
Mm.
these things that have to happen. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to have to manually tell a member of my team, hey, this has happened, can you work on this? Hey, and this other person work on this. The templates happen. So there's a bit of automation there as well. But the other great thing about that is that you can build in the instructions for how to do the task into the template. So when that template's being duplicated because that task needs to happen again, or you might have a complex project, or it might be your to-do list when you know you've got a camping trip coming up. And there are so many things. Anyone who goes camping can relate to always forgetting one thing. We've forgotten to take a cutting knife and a chopping board, and you don't
Yeah.
realize how essential those things are
Yeah.
until you're using a butter knife on a plastic plate to cut everything while you're camping.
And it just, you don't, yeah, and that would just be enough to send me right over the edge when I'm camping.
Yes, yes, very much. So yeah, it's making sure that and yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's a great example too, because when you're building out these templates, you're building systems on, this is how I do things whenever this needs to happen. These are all the things I can't forget. And so eventually we will forget something, but what happens is the template gets updated, so it doesn't get the next time. That's not the issue next time. And so as you're improving the system, the templates, the instructions, then it's getting better and better every time with less and less effort. And it's just a thing of beauty, and everyone gets used to working the same way. There's consistency.
That, and with, I would imagine with structure comes calm,
Yes.
comes, inner peace and confidence. I really am, feeling deep resonance in this idea that you do a bit of work at the start as a gift to your future self, so that when, and I've certainly heard, I actually really like, I like the idea of templates. I use a lot of email templates for myself, because there are consistent things that I'm doing. I've heard also it's a good idea to automate systems like video yourself the first time you do something to be able to give
Mm.
it to somebody else to do. So you're saying exactly the same thing. I think it's about, the system is being brave enough to commit to a little bit of extra work once, knowing that in the future that load is released. And I just feel real safety around that idea that if something happened to you, if you broke your leg and were laid up in hospital, or, if something went wrong, that you are able to be replaceable in that way, so that things can keep ticking along. You can keep putting food on the table, and the kids' activities and what they need would continue. I think as kind of busy mums, that's a real intrinsic motivator to do this level of
Mm.
system organization.
Definitely. And that actually reminds me of another system that I use, and that's a password manager. And
Mm.
I use it equally for my personal life as I do for my business. So I'm sharing passwords with my husband. I use LastPass, but there's 1Password and others out there as well. And it's that knowing that if one of us updates the password, it's saved in that vault, and
Mm.
we've both immediately got access to the latest password. But I don't just use it for that. I've also got a cheat sheet little note in there for things like our Medicare numbers, tax file numbers, ABNs, driver's license numbers and expiry dates, all those things when you're filling out life forms that I don't remember my husband's rego number. And again, an example of camping, if I'm booking our camping trip,
Caravan
I've got
park,
all of those
yes.
details on hand to copy and paste, and it's really
Mm.
life-changing.
Yeah, can you repeat? Are they apps like on the phone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the one I use, LastPass, I install it as a Google Chrome extension,
Mm-hmm.
but I believe you can get it as an extension on all the other browsers as well, including
Mm-hmm.
Safari. And it also is on my iPhone. So, and you can set it up so that, when you're on an iPhone and it can your phone can save passwords,
Yes.
but you can't share those
Yes.
passwords that your phone saves, but you can change your settings. So instead of pointing to your iCloud list of passwords, it
Mm-hmm.
actually looks to LastPass.
Oh,
And
wow.
so you can have it automatically fill in those login details. The other benefit there is I only have to remember one password, probably hence why they called it LastPass. Last password you
Yes.
have to remember. But all
Yes.
my passwords are, really long and I couldn't tell you what they are. I can't
Yes.
remember them. So it's very unlikely that someone's going to guess
Yeah,
what
so
they
it's not a
are.
security concern necessarily. I
Yeah.
that reminds me, my sister works in the ICU and she often sees, unfortunately, particularly women middle-aged and older who don't have access to things that, that they need to be able to manage money, etc., if their husband gets sick or dies, and it's real source of stress not being able to access the private health details, the banking
Mhm.
details to pay for medical expenses, funerals. Like, that just makes me feel sick in the stomach that I would have this contextual knowledge that I'm holding in my own brain or in my own phone that I could, be able to automate if the worst would happen.
Definitely. I think you've just made me think so with the clients that I work with that, for example, we provide executive assistant support to, we put together a client compendium and it does a similar thing where every time we learn new information, it goes in. So we never have to ask the same question again. And it's easy to bring on someone else to fill in and help out. But I feel like I really should recreate that document for myself
Mm.
as well, because while I've got those identification things in LastPass, things like what are all the bank accounts that
Yeah.
we own, and having a checklist. Another great template to throw into Asana is a checklist for all of the things that you need to do when you change your address, all the places that you need to update. Um, I've got that template, and it makes I am moving quite a bit because of my husband's work now,
Right.
which I can do because I work from home,
Mm.
and
But
so
you need to
potentially,
redirect mail all the time and
yeah, exactly. And then one more thing I just have to share, which helps with things not falling through the cracks and that habit of staying organized, is for anyone using Gmail. So whether you're using a personal Gmail address or whether you've got a Google Workspace business email,
Mhm.
there's one function that a lot of users don't know about, and that's snooze. So there's a clock icon at the top. So whether you select an email from the inbox or whether you
Mhm.
have an email open,
Mhm.
you can click that snooze icon and decide when you want it to pop back into your inbox. So if it's already
Oh,
in your inbox, it takes it out once you do it, but it returns it at the exact day and time that you want it to. And there are so many applications for this. So a lot of people keep the flight booking confirmations
mm,
in their inbox, and that might get buried, and that's not going to be useful to you if it's on page
mm,
10
mm.
eventually. I am obsessed with inbox zero, and so this really does tick all the boxes for me. But I can make
Yes.
sure that those flight confirmations are coming back into my inbox on the day of my flight. I do it the day before for my clients just to give them extra peace of mind. Um, but then also, if someone has told you that they're going to get you a quote for something by this date, I've been told this is a power move, but I snooze that email until 2 days before they say they're going to get something to me, and I reply with a thank you then. And this is a reminder for them that they made a commitment to getting me something, but it doesn't make them feel like they're being chased. It's just me showing
Yes.
my gratitude. So
And
there's
it's
no,
giving them enough time that it's not going to stress them out that I still haven't got it yet. It's not that tone. It's 2 days before. I really
yeah,
appreciate you doing that. But it
yeah,
works as a subliminal reminder to them.
yeah.
In
And then
in
that
2 days
way,
before is quite respectful, isn't it?
yeah, that way I'm not, otherwise if you're doing it the night before, then all it's going to do is stress them out if they're not ready. And there's no point in that. But it just, it makes them, doesn't make them feel like you are chasing them,
Mm.
because you're not, but you're helping them. It's coming from a place of wanting to help them to be organized for you as well, because when other people are organized, it's easier for you to be organized.
The
So definitely the snooze one, and I could give you 20 other examples of when snoozing an email has come in handy, but the biggest one for me is, again, just like when I'm migrating from my huge to-do list to the calendar view, and I'm not talking about actual calendar in Asana, there's the calendar view to look
Okay.
at that list just for today.
Mm-hmm.
With snoozing emails, I can get that email completely out of sight, out of mind.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a clear inbox. I've got a clear desk, clear mind, clear inbox, clear mind. I feel like I can focus on what I need to be working on today because I know I'm not going to forget what's in that email. It's going to come back to me at the time that I actually need to be thinking about it.
Well, you are some kind of angel, Fiona. So, but you can read the email at the time that it comes,
Yes.
but then you snooze it knowing that I'm going to need to know that information, but it's not a problem for today. It's a problem for next week. So I'm going to snooze it until Tuesday next week because, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm good at flagging emails once I've read them to go back to, but then I just scroll through and I've got 100 highlighted emails and I'm just like, in what order
Mm.
do I need to look at them? Just because they need future attention, I'm not putting them in the day that they need future attention. So,
Yeah.
and it's interesting because I would pride myself on chunking down tasks that I need to do, putting them in the calendar in blocks, but emails, no. Emails are,
Mm.
like I'm an academic and supervise students, for example. So sometimes, they'll have a deadline coming up that I need to read some work by or whatever. And
Mm.
so I'll flag the email knowing, oh, yes, there's an attachment to that. But all that does is put something else in my mind that I have to do and then clogs up all the brain space to work on what I need to be worried about for that day or the next day immediately. So snooze, my goodness.
Yep, definitely. It's freeing up your mind, having the bandwidth. And I think you do it as a parent as well,
Mm,
having that constant running list of all the things that you can't forget. When you're getting ready before school, you'll have a list in your head that you say on repeat so you don't forget everything, all the things that need to go into the bags,
mm,
anything that's different that day. And
mm,
I'll never stop doing that, but I definitely easier to operate like that when I don't have 50 other things taking
mm,
up that headspace,
mm.
for sure.
I really like, I think sometimes as women, and it's kind of an outdated mindset, but it's this, oh my God, if I don't do it myself, it won't get done. And it's almost like a little bit of a toxic story that we tell ourselves. And sometimes there's a bit of martyrdom in there. What I like about this is that it's kind of transcending above that story and just setting up systems for yourself that future self will thank you for it. And I also
Yeah.
really like the difference between something like a delegation software for your team compared to your husband. It's interesting that you said he could be a little bit more active on Asana.
Mm.
That for me is about the motivation to use it. You're so motivated by it because you can see what it's doing for your sense of calm and your sense of organization and management in your life. He is being motivated by you asking him to do that. Whereas
Yeah.
had he come up with it himself. So that's another barrier. As much as see my barrier to Asana is not motivation at all because I
Mm.
want the clarity, I want the calm. Mine is a cognitive barrier. So, I think it's really interesting to interrogate when we're not doing something, why are we not doing it? And then what could solve that? So for me, it's
Yeah.
learning more about it and spending some time getting to know the tool. And that would be well worth my time. I can
Mm.
I can already tell.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. I laughed before because talking the different priorities and drivers, I could have a handwritten shopping list, and I do default to that sometimes. But that
Mm,
also doesn't mean that when I send him, he's going to come back with everything. And if he
that's
goes to
right.
the kids, he's going to come back with stuff
With
that they
extra.
want. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Um, Oh goodness, Fiona, I'm just gaining so much from this. So I feel like we have covered a lot of this ground already, but could I ask you, a lot of us, me included, as I've already said, struggle to delegate. What is standing in our way, do you think?
Sure. So sorry. um, there are a couple of things. This is such a big question because there is no one answer
Mm,
for everyone.
hmm
And I don't think you need to be a perfectionist. It's definitely something I struggle with. I'm a recovering perfectionist, so, and I
Mm-hmm.
understand how letting go can be hard,
Mm-hmm.
but you can still have a very strong preference for the way things are executed,
Yes.
or the quality that you expect from the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And that's perfectly fine. But joint to that is thinking that it's going to be quicker to do it yourself. You mentioned then teach someone else how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But I love how you framed it as giving your future self a gift, because
Mm-hmm.
that's what it is.
Mm.
And so thinking it's quicker to teach someone to do it yourself than teach someone else to do it, I'd say it will be the first time. But if you are creating documentation, especially if you're talking to someone over a video call these days, if you can record that,
Yeah.
and then definitely in a business sense, when someone's reporting to me, one of their first tasks is actually going to be to take that recording and turn it into a written procedure with screenshots. And that reinforces, does a couple of things. It reinforces to them what you've taught them, but it also will highlight to you, once you review what they've put together, it'll be really obvious to you the things that you've forgotten to tell them.
Where the gaps are.
Yeah, and they also might make assumptions and put those
Mm.
in there. And so it's building on that. And then you've got the framework. We talked about this earlier, but improving every single time it gets done, being able to improve on that. And you can't do that unless you actually start with mapping out a system for how you want it done. And I find that for so many people, they're not ever going to map out how they want something done until they commit to delegating. So it's that act of training someone else that forces you to actually think about what it is you do and how you do it, um, and taking that from your brain and putting it somewhere else that people can access. And that's one reason. Another completely different reason I find people don't delegate is they don't think that they have enough to give someone.
Mm.
It's making an assumption that typically in a work environment as well, but if I've got a task that I do want to delegate, but it's only takes 30 minutes a week,
Mm.
there's no way that's I'm not going to go and hire an employee to do 30 minutes a week, but there's no reason why you can't hire a virtual assistant to do 30 minutes a week. And you might not be paying them for the time it takes them to do that job. You might be paying for the outcome, for the deliverable. Um, and yeah, it's working. It's realizing that even if you are a perfectionist, the process you go through to delegate actually opens up a whole new world for finding even more improvements for the process. You're going to have new perspectives. You're going to be able to streamline the process. Someone's going to question why it is that you're doing things a certain way. They'll say, oh, I've seen it done this way, and it eliminates that part of it altogether, or we could automate this. And them finding out, asking questions about why you do something, you might find out that actually that's just something you do out of habit, but it's not needed. You might be collecting data that you never actually look at. So why are you doing that? Why are you including that extra step when it's not used to make decisions?
Mm.
It's never, look, if you've got a handwritten calendar in your home and you're dedicated to making sure that that's completely filled out, if not one person in the family is looking in that calendar, why are you putting in that
That's
effort
the
every
point.
single year
Yeah.
to fill that in?
Yeah. I yeah, these are really powerful statements. It's definitely kind of an education principle that if you want to understand something, teach it to somebody else. So I really
Mm,
do understand what you mean there about by having to step out of process and justify the process and rationalize it to somebody else. You do have that kind of reflective practice of going, oh yeah, steps 2 and 3 are redundant now, or actually they've completely missed that and that's on me, because I wasn't clear enough, or I assumed that they knew what that meant. So again, I suppose the theme is be kind of brave enough to delegate and to work out the time to do something once, to touch it once, so that somebody else can do it next time for you, and it's not, that cognitive load of all on you and all on your expertise, and that you're the golden goose who is the only one who's able to do it. Um,
Yes.
how do we know what tasks to give away?
I love this one. Okay. So first and foremost, I would keep track of what you do each day. So probably whether it's in a spreadsheet or on a piece of paper, and create a table. You're going to you can go as granular as you like or stay high level, but keeping track of all the different things that you're spending time on. And then I want you to think about what it would cost you to pay someone else to do that, how long it takes.
Yeah.
That's the first step. But then you also need to think about your hourly rate. So what is your time worth? And that's easier to do in a business sense. And even if you're offering packages, then you're going to look at how long it takes you to deliver that package and divide that by the time it takes to get your equivalent hourly rate. And you might be making, that might be a really high hourly rate, but you need to be aware of just how valuable your time is. And if it's for something personal, then just pick a number, decide what your time is worth, and think about what you could be doing with that time if you got it back. If you need to reframe how you're thinking of your time that way. So once you're looking at that, you're going to be thinking about the fact that it's what your time is worth is the cost for you doing all of these things every day. And you might actually keep this list and go, it might take a week or even a month if you're really dragging your feet on delegating, and that's fine. Just keep this list up to date, and it might help you as well be more realistic about how long certain things take. But you're going to see it takes me this long to work on these things, and it costs me this. My time is worth money. This is how much it costs. And then don't forget, you've also got that column that I said, which was work out if you had to get someone else to do it, what would it cost? So a great example there is cleaning my house. It's one of the first things I will delegate in my life before I delegate anything in my business. And the way I like to explain it is, when I clean my house, I'm in my house. I'm the boss. It doesn't matter how long I take to do it. I can get easily distracted without there being consequences. Whereas if a cleaner was doing it, something that would take me 8 hours to achieve, I know that my favorite cleaner can take 4 hours to get that done. And if I really was to be more realistic, if I was focused and I just did the job, it probably would still take me 6 hours instead of the 4.
Yeah,
because
it's not your expertise and you don't like to do it. And
exactly. And she's conscious that she's getting paid to work and do nothing else, whereas I'm more flexible with that. And so what happens is, if I'm earning more than I'm paying my cleaner to do that work, I get back 6 hours of my day when she's there, but she's only costing 4 hours. So she takes 4, it gets done quicker. And also, I don't just get I get more than the 4 hours she's taking. I get the 6 hours because it takes me long to do the job. And then I look at that 6 hours and I say, what can I do in that 6 hours? And I can actually I can be earning more money than I'm paying her for less time. So I'm saving time, I'm saving money and I'm the opportunity cost. If I'm cleaning, that's 6 hours I've lost that I could be working on my business and revenue generating tasks. So that is the whole point of that process of looking at what you do, looking at your hourly rate, doing the research to work out what it costs to delegate to someone else. but that's not the only thing. It might be that you might be able to get someone who can do that for you at a lower hourly rate. But if that's the whole reason for that you got into business, or that's your passion, it's something you love doing. Some people absolutely love cleaning their house, and all the power to them. Please, I want a number.
Yes, please tell.
Then those you're not obligated to delegate just because it fits that criteria. But that also highlights the other thing that you're going to find when you review that list. You're constantly going to go, oh, I hate doing that. You're going to identify the things that you take a long time to do because you absolutely loathe doing them,
Yeah, it's not your
or
natural setting to do it.
or you don't have the skills
Mm.
and or the experience. And one of the reasons for that is that you actually put off upskilling in that area because it doesn't drive you. So from there, they're going to be the first things that you want to get rid of. The things that it's going to be more cost effective to give to someone else. They're going to be more efficient at it, and you hate doing them because it's not just about a cost thing. It's also about clearing your mind. It's that relief of knowing someone else has done it. And I do think that a cleaner is cheaper than therapy. And for me, having a clean house is definitely
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. I would 100% agree. Same thing at my house. Yes. Okay. So they're the first two things.
Yes.
And I would imagine the third one, if I'm to preempt it, is that you're not good at something and somebody else would do, like it's a
Yeah.
skill that you don't have, and you don't have the time or want to invest the time in becoming better at something.
And that's another mistake as well. Like, something standing in people's way is assuming that because they hate that work and they know so many other people that hate that work, that everyone hates that work. I can guarantee there is someone out there who loves doing what you hate, and they will happily take your money if you want to pay them to do it for you.
And who are we to take away their work from them by assuming
Yes.
that? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. We shouldn't deprive these people of what they love.
Yeah. Good for them. Yes.
So there as well, it's moving forward. It's not just a one-time thing. It's moving forward every time something new hits your plate. It's looking at it from that perspective. It's, should it be done at all? Streamline first, eliminate before you delegate if you can, and also automate. Don't delegate anything that could be automated, but that's a whole other conversation. And then when you are ready, when you know that you're going to delegate, you don't have to delegate absolutely everything on that list. You can start with just one thing. Start as small or as big as you like. It can be a task, or it can be a responsibility, or it can be a whole project. And you need to think about, when you're communicating, communication is key when you're delegating. So you need to make sure that you communicate the outcomes that are needed and the context of why it's needed. Why is it important? Why completion of this thing is important, because that allows people to think for themselves and find solutions. So you end up delegating responsibilities instead of spoon feeding tasks, because when you're in that trap of spoon feeding tasks, then it does feel like work. That's when it does feel like, oh, this is actually more work to delegate.
Yeah, why did I bother?
Yeah, exactly. And it might be, you might have, if you are spoon feeding a task to someone, I think you need to have a good think about why that is. Is it because you need to find a new style of communicating what you need? Or is it because you haven't delegated to the right person? Do you actually need to find someone with more experience and confidence who can come in and they can actually tell you what they can take off their plate in whatever area that is? Find someone who's actually the expert in the field. Yeah. And so there's that's the why of the task, but also deadlines. And this happens so often. It's, oh, I need this done ASAP, or this is the top priority. It's you might need to provide guidance on how to prioritize work if someone is, new entry level, not very experienced, but you definitely don't want to become that person who wants everything ASAP. Everything's urgent. If everything is a top priority, then nothing is a top priority.
Mm.
And that stress that we have ourselves of that overwhelm of knowing everything that's on our plate, you're just passing that stress to someone else. You're not strategic in helping to prioritize and make sure that you're getting the most important things to you first and able to plan ahead.
Wow. I mean, this podcast, I tell you, it is honestly things drop into my life at just the right time. This has been hugely beneficial. Fiona, what is this question has been woven through our conversation already, but what would be the long-term benefits of habitual delegation? So making delegating to other people, to an expert in an area, a habit. And I'd
Mm.
be really grateful if you could speak to it, not just in a work sense, maybe in a, taking things off your plate in more of a personal or a parenting or a,
Yeah,
domestic sense as well.
I was going to talk to parenting, definitely. Personally, I'm obsessed with delegating in both business and my life
Mm-hmm.
because I get that dopamine hit when something's marked off my to-do list.
Mm,
And for me, that hit, that feeling of accomplishment is actually short-lived.
mm.
So I'm often moving really quickly on to the next thing, but that's fine. If I'm
Mm.
delegating, I'm getting through more quickly, and that's all that.
Regardless of who does it,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
Mm.
exactly. And I also find that this might just be a personal thing for me and not everyone, but definitely there'll be others as well, where um, sorry, I've just just had a mind wander then.
That's okay.
Um,
That's all right. So
yeah,
you were talking about the dopamine hit of when you do get through your to-do list, whether it's you or somebody else, that's value for you.
yeah, definitely. And so I think the long-term benefits for effective delegation, you need to brief someone on what is required. That is a skill.
Mm.
And so the benefits I've seen for my clients and myself and in my personal life is when you turn that into a habit, it becomes easier to hone. That's like any other skill. You become better at it. It's easier and quicker for you to articulate what you need. And so as you learn to work together as a team, fewer words are needed to get the results you want.
Yeah. And more
So
quickly. Mm.
yeah, definitely. And so an example there would be with my kids. I'm very big on them learning to earn the nice things in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And for us at the moment, they're at a stage where money doesn't really mean much, but tech time does.
Mm-hmm.
And so when that's an example of needing fewer words to explain what it is that I need done, I
Mm-hmm.
might start by saying, um, we're going to clean your room. I'm not actually going to start off by saying that. In the beginning, it's, can you help me pick up all the Lego?
Mm-hmm.
Because often in our for kids with a messy room and for us as adults with a bigger project, just starting is sometimes the hardest thing.
Mm.
And
Completely
so,
agree.
yeah, it's teaching them, this is the order in which we're going to get everything off the floor first. It's um, holding their hand and delegating smaller tasks first.
Mm.
And eventually they just know what's next.
Mm.
Um, and once that's what I was going to say when my mind wandered
Mm.
earlier, it's for me, I am more motivated to be doing something like, again, I've talked about cleaning my house so much now, but when someone else is doing it with me, it doesn't
Mm.
have to be my husband. If the kids are doing it with me, then, we're doing it together. We're working as a team. I'm also setting an example. So, this is the pace I expect to work at. It's let's work together because this is our treat at the end if we get this done. And that's the same with business as well. It's if you're going to implement Asana and get everyone organized, you can't expect everyone to adopt that if you're not
Mm.
putting more effort in to
Mm.
creating that habit as well.
Mm.
But the long-term benefits, once all of that is in place, is it's a clearer headspace. It's you're no longer reacting and doing all the time. You can take a step back and put systems in place. And that's when you have the time to sit and relax and go, oh, what would be great is not forgetting the chopping board and the sharp knife next time we go camping, and putting that system in place. We don't put that system in place while we're camping. We're there to relax and be on holiday.
Yeah.
You need
And
to,
that's the reward once you're there relaxing, that you remembered everything.
yeah,
Mm.
exactly. And we already touched as well on bringing someone else in to help you brings a new perspective,
Mm.
a new way of doing things. You don't know what you don't know,
Mm.
and things could just only get better. It's not every single person you delegate to is going to bring that change.
No, and I would imagine, in the rapid, and I suppose this has been, being a tech expert, this has been your bread and butter for a long, long time, but it's becoming clearer to the rest of us mere models with the surgence of AI tools
Mhm.
becoming, better and better. I would imagine delegating to somebody who's really up to date with a particular tool, or like you've just given me a couple of magic hacks around snooze, for example, or
Mm.
LastPass. Had I not had that conversation with you, that's contextual knowledge that you have as an expert that's going to make my life easier. So I would imagine delegation does that. And I can understand why at the start of this answer you said it may not be true for other people, that it's good to work alongside other people, but I think most people actually would resonate with that idea of being social beings. And it is, it goes beyond that many hands make light work. It's more about that satisfaction of a job well done alongside somebody else, and the relationship forming. And I would imagine even the leadership that you've shown there, and seeing somebody else do a really great job because of your leadership, that would be a real kind of side benefit, I would imagine, too.
Definitely another one you've just made me think of is uh, having someone else have a look at something I've written, communication,
Mm.
and as part of letting go. And there's a certain type of email that we send once a month, and I know how hard it is to let go of stuff, but I'm still doing it all the time. And once I did, um, this virtual assistant came back to me and said, I just want to highlight that when I read this, this is the impression it gives me, or this is how it feels, or the tone of voice that I read it in. And I know you, and I know that that's not your intention.
Interesting.
And it was so good. And that's, that itself
Mm.
is a huge reason
Mm.
to let go and hand over to someone else. Don't assume
Mm.
that your way is the best way, that you know exactly what to say. And I guess part of that is being open to
Yeah.
feedback as well.
Mm.
That's pretty big.
Mm. Yeah, wow. Um, Fiona, I can imagine that your services are so highly sought after by millions of people in the community. How can we find out more about your work? How can people find you online, on socials, get in touch with your Thought Penny is your company?
Yeah, so Thought Penny is one of my companies. So that would, for now, that business is taking on automation projects only for
Okay.
business and personal lives.
Mm-hmm.
But my second business is the Virtual Assistant Lead Network.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a jobs board to list jobs. It doesn't have to be for business. We do have people list for help with their personal lives as well. So personal concierge. I'm going to speak to someone soon about getting help managing the schedule for her kids. And so our jobs board, it's free to list. You can get in touch, and it's one of the services I provide. It's funded by our over 350 Australian virtual assistant members who task me with helping individuals and businesses to articulate what it is they need help with, or even the step before, identify what it is that they should be delegating. And then, our members who think that it's a good fit reach out directly with their proposals, and from there, the world is your oyster. That's so cliche.
Hey, what a great, I love the virtual jobs board. It's it's such a contemporary take on going to the milk bar and hoping that there's like a sign for a babysitter when you need a babysitter. Like, this is that's exactly what, we all need. So I want to make it really clear for our listeners where to find you online, Fiona. Can you articulate that?
I am on LinkedIn. If you search for Fiona Campbell, and you're going to see Thought Penny and the Virtual Assistant Lead Network to know which Fiona Campbell I am. But the website is valeadnetwork.com.au. And from there, it's a pretty good, easy user experience to find.
I can imagine it's highly automated. I can imagine.
No, you have no idea.
If anybody.
So automated.
Yes, I can imagine.
Yeah.
And that I'll put all the information in the show notes as well.
Great.
So
I can provide you with a booking link too. So 15-minute free phone call. It often runs to 30 minutes if I end up drafting a listing for people for them to review. So actually we'll put it together. You don't have to fill out our form.
Oh,
I'll take the brief over the phone and then email it for approval. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's very efficient. Yeah. So if you could send that booking link through, I'll put that in the show notes as well. We've gone a little bit over time, so I'm really grateful for your the generosity of all of those answers, and it's been such a pleasure to meet you. I've taken copious notes. I know my listeners will gain an enormous amount from your expertise. So thank you so much, Fiona.
I've had so much fun. I was nerding out. It's been brilliant. One of my favorites for sure.
Okay, great. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of The Habit Nerd. I hope you found some new inspiration, learned something new, or gained a fresh perspective. If you did enjoy the episode, I would be really grateful if you could please leave a 5-star review, as it helps the show get in the ears of new listeners, plus it should only take you 5 seconds. If you're keen for more tips and insights, then head over to Instagram and follow Habit Nerd.